And we should be live in a second here. Deafen this. Oh, I've been wanting to live stream for a super long time because I have it in forever, and I was gonna play some games right now, but I figured I had a moment and I was printing, so I finally pulled out the old printer webcam and hooked it up. So I figured with the amount of stuff I've kind of been working on lately, maybe somebody had either some questions or just want to drop by and hang out. It feels weird being on live stream because I haven't live streamed in so long, but yeah, I just figured I would do a quick live stream and make sure all my stuff was still working correctly, because again, I always seem to have an excuse when I want to live stream. So I figured, no excuses, let's just live stream for a little bit here. So what up, XTube? I already have a couple admin, man. If I start live streaming more often and make it a thing, then maybe I'll look for more admin if you're around. But what up, Mod Shop? Yeah, dude, I was sitting here and was like, I'm literally doing nothing right now, but I was like, I might as well stream just because I've been putting out a lot of videos, and even today I've got like 2 more videos lined up. I'm working on upgrades for the Tevo Tarantula, and then I 3D modeled these little, I'll show you since you're here, they're little like game caddies for the Nintendo Switch. They're pretty simple, so it's basically like a little, I don't know how we'll be able to see it. Maybe I can make this full screen. One second. Boom. Okay, so it's this one's called the Cart Caddy Large, and it's basically just holds 16 of the Nintendo Switch cartridges, and it's got like little, you can kind of see it, little pixel question mark and little pixel star, and I just made it with enough tolerance to where it just snaps. Woo, hopefully you guys can see this. It just snaps on the back and locks in place. So I'm gonna make a little video on that. And I already, did I upload it? No, I didn't upload it to Thingiverse yet, but I'm gonna be uploading it to Thingiverse. And then I added it to my little Etsy store in case somebody is interested in it that doesn't have a 3D printer. But I worked on that. That was pretty fun. And then I have a couple other little Switch kind of add-on mod things I'm gonna be kind of messing with. But yeah, I've just kind of been working on the Tevo Tarantula today too, trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do to it. I did a couple of little upgrades to it. I did a lot of like quality tests. I've been printing out these benchies. I'm not really a benchy person. Like, I know benchy's like the benchmark that a lot of people with 3D printers use it to test out their 3D printer when they initially get it. But I usually don't. I usually print something random. But I was like, what the hell? Might as well print some benchies. And so I basically, because of this original model, this guy that I printed and made a video on the other day, it felt like the machine was under extruding. So I took my little digital calipers, and right now I'm printing a chain link. I'll show you it on Thingiverse right now. But I took my calipers and measured out 100 millimeters and extruded, and it didn't extrude 100 millimeters. It was like, I didn't do the measurements to an exact science, which I know you're supposed to, but it was probably like 10 millimeters short, it seemed like. So what I did was I adjusted to compensate for that lack of extrusion, and then it felt like it was over extruding. So then I started going down a little bit more until I got to a point where I'm like, this is pretty damn good. And I printed this part. I'll show you this guy on full screen. Yeah, cable chain, exactly. So I printed this part on the machine today, and this is a really, really good part actually. So I think I got the settings dialed in pretty damn good. There's a little bit of issues with stringing, but that's just my slicer settings, and I don't care that much because I kind of run just a general slicer setting for all my machines, so a little bit of stringing doesn't really bug me. But yeah, so a few things that I printed today. Let me show you guys a few things that I worked on. Yeah, it's not a bad part, dude. I'm pretty impressed. Oh, the one thing I did too was the the extruder on this machine was too tight. I had the tolerance way too tight, and I noticed that it was grinding into the filament. Basically, I saw some filament residue along with, I could feel the little teeth marks. So I loosened that a little bit, and I think that helped with the smoother extrusion of the filament. So a couple things I did today was, which again, I'll make a video on this. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that looks really cool. Since I have you here, I was gonna kind of ask you, so it looks like from that picture, you installed an LCD screen into a 360. It looks like you dremeled out the square, and it looked like, I don't think that was the whole 360, right? That was just the shell, like just the top part. What exactly are you doing? I don't know if it's like a surprise or something, but are you gonna add, are you going to add speakers to it and things like that? But yeah, so today I went ahead and I added those little legs to the LCD screen. So one thing about the Tevo Tarantula that I thought was strange is that the LCD screen, it doesn't actually mount to anything. It's just a loose little acrylic, you know, cable, which I guess isn't, it's okay, but for me it's a little strange. I don't need, you know, things bouncing around. So I was gonna 3D model one myself, but I found this model, which was literally what I was gonna model myself anyway. I just wanted a model that didn't require any hardware, and this works perfectly, so I mounted that in. Then I also printed out these little bed, you can see the green rings down below the bed. The little metal thumb screws that this machine came with hurt the shit out of your fingers, so these little knobs for adjusting, not that you really need to adjust the bed all that much once you set it, it doesn't usually move too much, but I was like, it looks kind of cool, and what the hell, might as well. So those are the two things that I did, and then I printed the green part I showed you. Now I'm printing cable chain. I'll show you guys on the left screen here. Let me drag this up so you guys can see this. This is my, so I have a list of the upgrades I'm working on, but yeah, this is the cable chain by Max Dark Dog, and it's X, Y, and Z. Normally, I've had messed with cable chains in the past. I normally don't like them too much, but the Tevo Tarantula, because the housing for the board is in the very front of the machine, it's driving me crazy the amount of cables that are everywhere. You can't hide them very nicely, so I figured that this is probably the appropriate time to do something like a cable chain. So it's kind of a lot of plastic, but it'll look really nice, and then I won't have to worry about you know, wires and shit like that. So the upgrades I'm doing are the LCD screen holder I did, the bed tighteners I did, the drag chain I'm working on. It's probably going to be 6 hours of prints for all of the different chain parts. Then I ordered a fan. I'm going to print this fan duct. It's like a little basic fan duct that prints onto the extruder. Because I pretty much only print with PLA, I think that the biggest thing I can do to improve the quality on this machine is add some airflow. So that'll be on Sunday. I ordered it on Amazon, and then I'll print that little fan duct. And aside from that, I'm probably just going to do my usual LED install, and I think I'll write it off at that, because I don't really feel like I'm really happy with the quality of this machine without much upgrades. I'm not going to do like an E3D hot end. The only thing I would like to do, which I'm probably not going to do, is to add, I'll show you guys this too. Sorry if you guys are typing in chat right now. I will start looking at chat in a second, but just wanted to share this with you guys real quick here. Let me see, so left screen off. So on this machine, God, my nose is itchy. I'll move this camera so you guys can actually see it, maybe. Hold on. Okay, so, damn it, you can't really see it. Okay, you can see it there. So if you look at the very back of the machine, there's a little spiral rod, which is like literally right where my finger is, right there. And that's what moves the whole printer up and down. And that's a very strange, I mean, that's not strange to have that for moving the machine up and down, but what is strange is that there's only one of them. All Prusa machines, or Prusa style machines that I've ever seen, even the ANET A8, has threaded rods on both sides, which basically means that the weight of the x-axis is evenly distributed. While on this machine, the side with the threaded rod takes all of the weight. So what that means is that my x-axis is slanted, and I've done as much as I can on my part to tighten things and make it where it doesn't have a lot of slack, but it doesn't seem to matter. So basically what I've had to do is my bed is extremely offset to compensate for that crookedness, and it's not really affecting my prints. The Build Tech type sheet that's on the glass bed is phenomenal, and my prints are sticking stupid well without anything, which is awesome. But I still think that could improve some potentially vibrations and things like that. So that's something I would like to do, but because the machine is printing at the level it is printing at, which is pretty damn good considering it's $170, $180 machine, I don't think I'm gonna deal with it. I think I'm just gonna let it slide on this one, because again, it's not really necessary, and it's a pretty heavy upgrade that I don't feel like doing, especially with all the other projects I've got going on. I've got another kit on the way and potentially another printer too, so I've just kind of got to balance how invested I get into a project right now. So Carlos, if you're still here, it says I want to get a 3D printer and good cheap noobs. Oh, any good cheap noob suggestions is probably what you're asking. Well, it depends on your experience. Not your experience, your knowledge with 3D printing and 3D printers in general. If you don't mind building your own, you can get one for very cheap, like the one in the video right here is, I can show you right now. If I go over to like, do your best. I type in Tevo Tarantula. The Tevo Tarantula cheapest kit is, which I think this is the one I have, is $182 right now. So that's for a full printer with a heated bed. Pretty much what you're seeing in this video, this is the machine you'll get for 182 bucks, which is cheap. But again, you have to build it yourself. So depending on your knowledge and your tinkerability will really decipher whether a kit is something you want to get into. Another one is like the ANET A8. It's another really cheap machine for $150, even cheaper. The ANET A8 has a great community behind it, lots of people that would be willing to help you. I don't know which one I'd recommend out of the two, to be honest with you. I really like my ANET A8, but the thing I like about the Tevo Tarantula more than the ANET A8 is that it uses a lot less acrylic. The Tevo Tarantula primarily uses aluminum extrusions, while the ANET A8 uses acrylic, which nobody can deny that acrylic is not nearly as strong as aluminum. So, you know, my ANET A8 has been running perfectly fine and smooth for 12 months now, is that right? Maybe? It's been a while, like, yeah, probably 9, 10, 11 months or so. So I'm not saying acrylic's not good, but I don't know if someone were to come up to me right now and said, hey, which one? It's a tough choice, really. The ANET A8 has a little bit bigger of a build area, but then again, this one's all aluminum, which I really like. It feels more rigid. So that's a tough decision. But if you don't want to build one yourself, then you can do something like a really easy, if you go to like Monoprice, which you don't have to buy it off their website, but this is, I made a video on this too. It's probably on their homepage. That's not the one, but it's a 3D printer. Do they have this in stock? In stock. Okay, well, this is one, I guess, but I haven't used this one. Jeez, that was loud. Thank you for whoever just subscribed. I don't have notifications up, but this machine, right? No, to be determined. Okay, well, they're out of stock. Ah, here we go. So this is, wait, there's a cheaper one right below it. Oh, open box. So either way, open box or not open box. But this machine right here, much smaller, but take it out of the box and print, and it's ready to rock and roll. So depending on how much knowledge you have and depending on how much time you want to put into setup, I think that building a printer is a phenomenal thing to do. And if anything ever goes wrong, you'll have a really good idea of what you need to do to fix it, because you put it together screw by screw, piece by piece. But I realize that that's not everyone's forte, and some people just want to print, and if that's the case, then you can do something like this. Or if you want a bigger build volume, Again, there's other printers you can go with, but this one's $300, so again, you're paying like an extra 120 compared to the Tevo, but I believe this is like 8 screw assembly. Yeah, ready to print in 10 minutes. I think you just take it out of the box, assemble a few screws, and it's pretty much ready to go. So those are a couple options. Again, no matter who you talk to, they'll have a different opinion on what's the best starting machine to go with. And I can't say that they're wrong or right, but from the machines I've used, those are some suggestions that I have. So, holy shit, mod shop. That's probably what the notification was, dude. Thanks a lot for the $5 donation, man. You definitely didn't have to do that. You kick ass. Sorry, I didn't even see your comments, dude. It's I have such a hard time with live streaming because I get so caught up in my just whatever I'm talking about that I forget to look at chat for a little bit here. Okay, so you said, yeah, just a shell. It's not really a surprise, but I did one years ago for the fat, and a customer recently requested one for slim. I'm going to add a speaker along with it and a toggle switch. Toggle switch will allow you to do what? Basically switch between video going to the LCD or video going through to the TV, or what is that going to do? And how did you connect the two together? Did you solder or use a splitter, or is it the switch that basically is like a switch box that essentially has two like HDMIs going in, or what am I trying to say? One HDMI going in, two HDMIs going out. I think that's maybe what I'm talking about. Really more a gimmick than anything, as you wouldn't really want to play on that screen, but people are into it, I guess, for the wow factor, just something really different. Yeah, I can understand that. A lot of what I do is more just for fun or something like that than actual practicality. So if he's happy with it and you're making money off of it, then I mean, you know, whatever, it's a job. So, and plus I'm sure it's kind of fun for you. You can make videos on it and stuff like that. I think the Monoprice Slick Mini is probably the best starter printer in my opinion for one that don't want to mess with building one. I agree completely. There's a lot of really good things. The only downfall is the size of the build area, but the thing is, like, you can still do a ton of different things on that small build platform. Most of what I print is within those parameters of, you know, a build platform. So also the small form factor is really nice because it doesn't take up a ton of space. It's not a super loud machine. You get a warranty through Monoprice. So there's a lot of really good things. I only got rid of mine because I was having some issues with it at some point with like it worked really well, and then I fried the LCD board, and then I converted it to a ramps board. Mine was so Frankensteined, but that was all my own doing. And then I think I just had too many printers coming in. I can only hold on to like 3 or 4, so I usually keep the ones I can keep and then either sell one to a friend or give one to a friend or something like that. So oh, GH Fear stopped by. It says, yo, I'm in the car waiting for my brother, picking him up to get breakfast. I'd love to get myself a printer for breakfast. Are you in Europe, Cheech? Because it is 9 o'clock at night, and I don't think in any of the states it's only later. So unless you're having midnight, it's got to be late. And I definitely recommend getting a printer, dude. Especially you commented saying you'd like to do something like the mini arcade, and I mean, I was looking at some of the kit prices for some of the mini arcades out there, and I mean, you would save money by buying a $150 kit printer, building it, and then using like my Thingiverse files or designing your own, just by doing that. And then anything you do after that, you're basically, you know, you just have the printer. Oh, Sweden, that's right, that's right. How would you compare Tevo to a Da Vinci 1.0 print quality wise? Okay, give me one sec. So that's kind of a tough question because, so the Da Vinci, I haven't had the Da Vinci. Did I have it when I moved in here? I think I still had it when I moved in here. Yeah, I did, because I threw it out and took out the parts. Took out all the parts in it because it was, I didn't have time to repair it and I didn't need it anymore. So my Da Vinci, when I got it, didn't last very long, at least not in its stock form. I ended up having to do a board swap. I upgraded the extruder. I did a lot of heavy modification to it, and at the end of all of that modification, it printed insanely good. Probably better than what I'm getting with the Tevo Tarantula, but the thing is that's not a fair comparison because that wasn't a stock Da Vinci, you know. I don't, it would be easier if I had a Da Vinci fresh out of the box right now here, and I had the Tevo here, and I hit print on the same object and compared the two. I think that you can get pretty similar prints with the two, but the Da Vinci, I believe, is a lot more expensive. Granted, it's pre-assembled. What is it going for nowadays? Da Vinci 1.0 stock. I don't know what's the best place. Let's check on Amazon, perhaps. Okay, so $350 on Amazon. I don't know if that's the best value or not. Even if it was $300, you're still looking at $120 more. Okay, if somebody said to me right now, with again what I've seen from the Tevo Tarantula, which I've had it assembled now for only a week, and the Da Vinci, which is a machine that I ran for probably a year and a half or 2 years on and off from being down, not working and stuff like that, it's gonna again come down to, do you feel comfortable building a 3D printer? Because if you feel comfortable building a 3D printer, I would say don't get the Da Vinci, because the Da Vinci, again, you're spending an extra, if you're not spending double, you're spending at least another $100. With that $100, you can get the Tevo Tarantula, you could get the second motor along with the threaded lead screw, which will fix that weird offset thing. You can upgrade the extruder to be an E3D authentic one if you wanted to go authentic, and then you're styling. So I've only had the one Da Vinci, and my Da Vinci gave me problems. It did, but for a first machine, it wasn't that bad. It was enclosed. It had a heated bed. My buddy who actually, my buddy texted me, hey Chris, my buddy that actually lived here, who got the Da Vinci before me, he lived here before I even moved in here. His name was Daniel. He got the Da Vinci before me. He's the reason I got into 3D printing, because I saw he had one. He didn't even open it. It was in the box. I was like, dude, I want one. And the Da Vinci went on sale, and at the time, I think I paid like $400 for it, and that was on sale, and that was a really good deal for a 3D printer of any stature back in 2014, 15. I don't really know. Probably 3-ish years ago. His had a shitload of problems. His was stock. I don't think he flashed it. His wasn't able to do circles correctly. His glass shattered. There was just so many issues that his thing had, like one after another. So again, it's like, in the customer support, again, I don't want to completely bash XYZ because that was 3 years ago. They could have come a long way, but the customer support wasn't very good. They sent me a replacement part that took forever, that didn't fix my issue originally. I had it, what was my initial issue? My initial issue was something to do with, I think, the clip that connected the extruder to the board. It had a weak connection, and so they sent me a replacement cable that didn't fix it, and so that's when I ended up cutting the cable and soldering it, and that fixed it temporarily. So it's like, if you're going to be doing all that Frankensteining with your machine, then I feel like you should just get a kit, because then you'll be king of Frankensteining. But again, everyone has their own opinion, because I know people that have gotten Da Vincis that have commented on my video where I kind of was talking smack on the Da Vinci, saying how much they love it. So just because I didn't have a good experience with it and my buddy didn't, doesn't mean that they're all like that, and quality control could have changed in 2 years. So that was a heavy rant, but hopefully that answers your question at least a bit. So with the screen, you can actually hook up HDMI or AV, and it would still display on the screen built into the Xbox. So essentially 2 displays. A toggle switch would allow customer to turn on and off the speaker and LCD. Oh, okay, got you. So supply power. Are you taking power directly off of the 360 and it's able to power the speakers and the LCD, or are you running a separate power to that? GH says, but yeah, I learned to make games by just fudging around in Unreal for 14 to 16 hours a day. It was really worth learning C++. I'm working with blueprints. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I took C++ course in college, and it was fun, but it was frustrating. And by the end of it, the coolest thing I learned how to make was like a tic-tac-toe program. I made a video on it actually, and then I started teaching myself some Python over the last couple months, and that was a lot of fun. I actually made I used something called, I think it was Tweetbee, and I made a Twitter bot, which I was going to make a video on, but I had some stuff going on, so I didn't get a chance. But I don't fully understand all the code that I'm working with. Some of it is definitely copy and paste, but I understand a fair amount from C++, and it's just learning the syntax from Python. But the Twitter bot was really cool. It just basically goes out and likes and retweets certain hashtags. It can follow people. It can create tweets. I wanted to be able to have it so where it can crawl the web for certain articles relating to certain topics and tweet them. But I've got so much more learning to do with Python before I feel comfortable making videos. Even though I can make a showcase video and that wouldn't really hurt anything. Hey, what's up? Ujval. That's a hard name. We'll call you, it says AKA the BAP. So BAP's easier. Modshop says, I have a DaVinci 1.0 and personally I think they get a bad rap. My own printer stock hardware, only flash with the printer, gave me some of the best prints I've ever done. See, so there you go. There's Modshop, you know, saying that he had a good experience with his. So again, I didn't have a great experience with mine, but that was my experience. So things could have changed, and if it weren't for the DaVinci, I wouldn't be in all these 3D printer stuff. It was my gateway into the rest of all of this, and by having to do the troubleshooting I did, it definitely helped to teach me a lot about 3D printers. So I would love to get another XYZ machine in here to review it, just to see where they're at compared to where they were back when their first, you know, entry-level machines launched. Brad says, I flashed mine with the pettier and upgraded the extruder, and I'm still not happy with the outcome. I guess I just need to mess around with it more. What's the main issues that you're having, that you're not happy with the outcome? It could be, I mean, it could be slicer settings. Did you add a cooling fan if you're printing with PLA? That was a big one for me. Let me see if I can find the one I printed back in the day. Give me a sec here. DaVinci fan. See what comes up here. This looks similar to what I printed, but I don't think it's. No, that's way too new. That looks exactly like what I printed back in the day. Oh, this looks pretty close to what I printed. Oops. That's not it. DaVinci. Oh, this is it. This is it. This is the one I printed back in the day. This helped my prints pretty significantly. The belt for the x-axis would feed through that little groove right there, and then you'd mount the fan here, and it would basically just blow. Blow through that little vent hole. This made a huge difference for my PLA prints, which is again primarily what I print. So I can definitely recommend this. I'll actually post it in the chat if you'd like to take a look at it. There you go. It's there if you want to take a peep at it, Brad. For me, it was all down to the settings. Took some time, but I managed to get them down pretty perfect. Yeah, I mean, granted, your hardware does need to be dialed in, and things like airflow can definitely help, but finding the perfect temperatures, finding the perfect layer height, depending on what it is you're trying to print. But temperatures are really important. The biggest issues I had when getting into 3D printing was temperatures and bed adhesion. Bed adhesion was a bitch, and I still get annoyed with bed adhesion when it comes to ABS, which is why I love PLA. I've got PLA down to a science. If I'm printing on glass, I'm using hairspray, and if I've got something like the Tevo Tarantula that has like that build tack type thing, then you don't need anything. I just put the bed, I think on this is right now at 45 degrees Celsius, and things are sticking beautifully and popping off with ease. So the bed leveling is very important, along with the bed adhesion. Those will save you you won't lose prints as much, and it'll save you a lot of headache. So you said directly from the 360. Okay, cool. I would imagine it probably doesn't take too much power. Is it just like a what LCD screen is it? Is it just like a generic one that you can get for like a Raspberry Pi kit, or is it something that you took apart and basically took the LCD screen out of? it's not too fun to learn if you don't actually make something with it that's useful to you. Learn by making something you want and need. That's my advice. I agree completely, because that was my biggest gripe with programming, was that I was making shit that I didn't care about, and it was still cool seeing console output things, but the coolest thing I actually learned in C++ or did was with my tic-tac-toe game. I finally was able to figure out how to use Fstream to output the results of the games to a text file, and that, I'm sure to any programmer they'd laugh and say that's so amateur, but the thing is, for me, for the first time, my program had not only done something, but it created something and kept a log. And to me, that was a kind of like a big breakthrough, just seeing my program create something. So that was really cool. And then when it came to Python, when I started messing with the whole Twitter API, I saw some projects I wanted to work on with eBay and web scraping and stuff like that. That's when I started, like, lights started going off in my head, and I'm like, I could actually see this being really applicable, fun, and potentially, you know, like making some money with it too. I also have a huge interest in making bots. So yeah, I think bots are really cool. It's just crazy how smart some of them are and how they're able to like impersonate a person and do basically mundane tasks for you that would be really boring and repetitive. So those are really cool. With that said, I haven't touched my Vinci in over a year. It's just too big and bulky. So tough to find room for it. Yeah, that was kind of also a reason I ended up tossing mine, is that the enclosure is really nice and it's kind of nice looking printer, but damn does it take up a lot of space. And even if you at one point I took off all the plastic panels, the metal frame inside of that is still really bulky. For the amount of print area you're getting, it takes up a lot of excess space. So it's definitely not for compact area at all. Hey, what's going on, Cameron? I can't get large prints to stick and not warp on edges. Okay, so basically what I was just saying is the warping thing. Honestly, just well, a few things. One, work on bed leveling, work on bed adhesion, work on your temperatures. Make sure you're putting down a thicker first layer. I don't know what material you're printing with. If you're using PLA, I highly recommend using hairspray. It works phenomenally. And you can also try something like a, is it a raft or a brim I'm thinking of? I think it's, let me see, 3D printer raft. Yeah, a raft. So something like this. And if you get your settings correctly, it shouldn't be too hard to tear off, but if depending on what you're printing, it'll give you that extra layer adhesion, which could basically save your print. So there's a link to that. Oh, here. What did you post? Oh, yeah, that's, wait, that's the, oh, that's okay. So that's not the exact same one I printed, but that's the first one that I clicked on, or not the first one I clicked on. But yeah, that's pretty similar to the one I was using anyway. Wired directly to the hot end fan and added a switch to manually. Oh, so yeah, you did make it. Okay. Yeah, and I bet you that made a huge difference, didn't it, Mod? I'm sure that made a huge difference on your print quality. Yeah, you said it worked pretty well for me. Adding a brim and slicer will help. What did I type in? Brim or raft? Raft, okay. What's a brim then? 3D printer brim. Oh, okay, so brim goes, maybe a brim is what I'm talking about. Brim is the one that goes on the outside of it, while a raft looks like it goes under the whole thing. Yeah, I would recommend a brim over a raft then. I'm sorry. That's funny. I've never even used a raft. Yeah, I like brims over rafts. That's the one I have used a few times, and usually they're pretty easy to tear off. While I think if you print on top of something else, that could be kind of annoying, and I don't know how that could screw up things if you're working with pretty tight tolerances. I might have to start doing more live streams. It's really fun. I just think that, I think my buddy's home. I think that I won't do them always as long as I did before, because before I was doing always like 4 or 5 hour live streams, and I think that was a bit too much. Especially now I'm actually going to be looking for a full-time job soon here, but I would love to do even if we did like 60-minute windows where I sit down and just talk about videos that I've been working on, answer questions and stuff like that. Hey. I thought my dog was barking, but I think she was snoring. But yeah, it'd be really cool if once a week I could do that and talk about projects I'm working on, answer questions, because I've been doing my best lately, more so, to try to answer as many viewer comments as I can, but they're pretty brief. I don't always have time to type out a paragraph, so this would be a way better time to have someone come in and just say, hey, what's your opinion on this? And you've got me here in the hot seat type thing, you know? So I don't know whether I'll announce them or whether they'll be random like this. They might just be random like this, so if you get lucky and catch me, cool. Until I have more of a like once I have a set work schedule, then it'd be like easier to kind of figure all that other shit out. But it's been nice because I've been on a schedule lately where I'm going to bed now by midnight and I'm up by like 8:30. So it's weird as shit, but it's been so much healthier and better. So well, before I was up till 3, 4 in the morning, a lot of times, sometimes 6 in the morning, and my next day was just fucked, like always, so. But thanks to everyone that stopped by. Anybody else have any other, I don't know, questions or anything like that at all for the night? Let's take a look. I'll show you guys the, how much time do we got left? 20 minutes left on this. So I printed the, I think 13 links in this print row, and then oh yeah, if you guys click the bell, I gotta get better at saying to click the bell. I don't even know where the bell is, but yeah, on the videos or on YouTube, if you click the little notification bell, it'll actually tell you guys when to make a video or when I go online, which that way you guys won't miss it, you know. What's going on, do it? I'll call you 3D Experience. Well, that's easier to refer you as. How are you doing, man? Let's see, that screen is the same I used in my N64 portable, pretty much. Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that one on YouTube. Speaking of which, did I ever tell you about the Joel telling N64 portable mishap? No. What? I have no idea what that is or what that means. What happened? Were you making him an N64 or something like that? Like portable? I really want to make an N64 portable, man. How much time and work went into that thing, dude? Because I have the N64, I have the 3D printer. I would imagine that I have to remove the header of the header of the like cartridge reader and relocate that, which would probably be kind of a pain in the ass to get all the cabling. Then I would need some kind of lithium-ion battery with a lithium-ion battery charger, an LCD screen, some kind of speakers, unless I use like the PlayStation 1 speakers and built-in speakers. I'm just trying to think in my head what all it would entail. I'm fine. I have had no adhesion issues with my Anycubic i3 Mega Ultra Base. That sounds, that's like a pretty metal name. I was trying to get one of those Anycubic i3 Megas in, but GearBest said no, sadly. So I didn't get one in, but they look freaking awesome. I think they have auto bed leveling built into them. I looked at them not that long ago. I was looking at a few printers. I know that they're really easy setup. Anycubic i3. Did you do something special with your? Oh no, okay, yeah. It's the base that has those little diamond things in it, right? Main features, 1P independent motherboard design. I remember watching a video where I believe it had little white diamond type things in the bed, and it stuck really well. I remember, I don't know if I watched, who did I watch a video? It was either the Hot End or Maker's Muse, I think, did a video on it, and that's the one I saw. I had the version 2 with no auto bed leveling. Okay. Okay, so the one I'm thinking of or seeing is the newest one, then the Anycubic i3 Mega i3. Yeah, the next printers that I have coming in are, I'll show you guys. One just shipped out. 1 second. I'm streaming, friend. You can come in though if you want. I'm just streaming.
That was different than that.
Was it?
This is Tevo.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm streaming, but you can come in. So one of the machines I have coming in. Are you gonna play or no?
No.
You going to bed?
Soonish.
Okay.
You drinking?
Just well, I'll show you a picture. Chain link for it.
Oh,
Because this thing has too many cables going in every direction, so I was like, it'll look so much cleaner just having all the cables running through the chain. Yeah.
Have you done this before yet?
What's that?
Have you done this before?
I started it and I decided not to, but this time I'm actually like fully going through with it. So the things I did today was the brackets for the screen, because the screen before was just loose, which is stupid, and then the bed leveling knobs right there. And then look, dude, I designed this for the Switch. It's a little it's a caddy for the games, yeah. So
That's cool.
yeah. So, well, if you change your mind, I'm gonna probably stop streaming in like 20 minutes and play some PUBG. But if not, no worries.
Okay.
And
You can post it.
Okay. Are you gonna be out in the living room for a little bit?
Huh?
You gonna be out in the living room for a little bit? Okay, I'll probably hop out there after this.
Alright, cool.
All right, man. They took the auto bed. They took the auto leveling out of the new version. Oh, no shit. Fuck, I brain farted. Oh, printers. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so the next printer I have that I will be building is. Okay, so that one, and then this other one I should have coming in too. I haven't gotten tracking on it. I have to actually contact the company. Growling? I can't tell if she's growling. I don't want her to growl. Give me a minute. I just want to show you guys that way you know what's coming up on the channel. At least in terms of printer stuff. I have a bunch of other random stuff like always, but Jesus, I get too many emails, and now that I've been applying for jobs and shit, I think I found it. Product. Ah, okay, we're good. So, printers I have coming in. Well, first let me look at chat real quick. One sec, guys. I'm starting to get too many tabs open. I'm starting to get disorganized here. Okay. No. So basically, before I made my video on it, I sent it out to him, and he was gonna make a video on it for his channel. Unfortunately, the son is an unforgiving bastard. I shipped it out, and by the time I got to the high temp hot glue used to hold certain components in place softened up just enough to ground. Fuck. When he got it, all he knew was that it didn't power on with any of the cards I sent with it, so he ended up shipping it back to me. But that scared me enough to not want to send it back out. Couldn't risk anything happening to it. That fucking sucks, dude. Oh man. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That's like if I tried shipping my arcade out, I'd be super scared. Like, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't make it in one piece. That really sucks to hear, though. How long ago was that? The only issue I had with it is I received it with a dead on arrival power supply, so I just wired up a PC power supply. Well, as long as you're resourceful, then that's not a big issue. But for some people, like, there's such a wide variety of people that are in the 3D maker scene. You've got people that are complete tinkerers that love, I mean, I guess like kind of my type that loves just building shit and figuring shit out. And then you've got ones that just use it more for business side or fun side, which there's nothing wrong with. They don't necessarily care or want to know all the ins and outs of it. So at least you know the ins and outs where you're able to do something like that, because for some people that would be a panic mode or let's send it back, you know. Luckily it didn't cause any damage, and probably close to 2 years ago whenever it was that I made my video, just a couple of weeks before that. No shit. the reason why you contacted Joel back then was because he was heavy into 3D. Was he heavy into 3D printing 2 years ago? Time's gone by so quick. I don't know how long. I know he's been around for quite a while, but I guess 2 years sounds about right. Did you follow his 3D printing videos back in the day? I'll show you guys too real quick here the couple machines I got coming in. So the next kit printer that I'm building is this guy. So I've got the Tronxy X5 aluminum coming in, which is a 210 by 210 by 280. So not exactly a huge build area. I mean, a little taller than most of my machines. And 210 by 210 is pretty standard. Normally it's like 200 by 200, but 280 I guess is a little bit bigger. I just really wanted to build a cube printer because I have not built a... Have I ever built? I've never built a cube printer. This could be interesting. No, I owned cube printers, but they were like the Vinci. All my machines have been Prusa styles in one shape, way, or form. Or deltas. I'm sorry, I've done 1, 2, 3 deltas. Huh, so yeah, I wanted to change it up and do a cube printer. So I liked what I saw. There's lead screws. I watched a couple videos. I saw some mixed reviews on it. Some saying good, some saying bad, some saying there's little things you can do to make it phenomenal, which seems to be the case with all budget 3D printers. But I'm excited. I really like the fact that it's like all 2020 aluminum extrusions with very little acrylic other than for like the LCD screen, which is irrelevant. So that'll be fun. That'll be a really fun build. I'm very much looking forward to that. That should be here in the next 7 to 10 days, I would say. And then I also should have the JG Aurora coming in, which I've seen mostly good things about, some negatives, but this one I'm excited to get into because it's pretty much pre-assembled. It's like 7 screws to set up and then level the bed and you're ready to rock. And it's a pretty big printer. Yeah, 305 by 305 by 320 is fairly large and it looks really cool. So this will be a fun one to get in. It's got some cool features too, like power failure protection, and I think if the machine runs out of filament, it'll has an alarm and it'll resume, pause and resume. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I just got to contact them, and I haven't gotten tracking, but they did say that it was shipping from their China warehouse. So we've got some definite 3D printer videos coming up, so that should be fun. How's it doing on the? It's not doing that bad on the bridging. Pretty impressed. I don't know. It'll be even better again once I have the cooling fan on it and it's able to have that extra layer of cooling for the PLA. If you go into 3D printing with the mindset that it's going to be plug and play, you're probably going to be frustrated. That's a fact. I've never had a machine that's, well, plug and play to a certain extent, but if you can't think outside the box, the first time something goes wrong, you're going to lose your shit. And the thing is, even if you get a 3D printer, I've yet to see a 3D printer that you get it and it has a built-in software where it's like a regular printer where you literally hit print and it just does everything for you. There's too many variables because with regular printing, you know, most people don't care. Your options are black and white or color or the paper size. But with 3D printing, you've got, you know, swapping colors, you've got temperatures, you've got how strong do you want it, there's a gajillion different things. So even if you took it and simplified it as much as possible, it's still exponentially more complicated than a lot of other things that computers do that your everyday person does. You know, to me, I could say 3D printers are complicated, but they're not complicated. But again, everyone's level of tech is so different too, because I've always been, you know, a tech head and messed with things. And I know people that are, you know, my friends potentially, like, that I grew up with that went through the same classes as me, hung out with me, but they were nowhere near. They see some of the stuff I do and they're like, it's like wizardry. While to other people that know how, if they're not as amazed. I mean, they might be amazed, but they understand that it's not super complicated. But then again, what is complicated? Nothing is really complicated if you have the skills and the knowledge. I don't know. I'm getting a little philosophical here. I don't know. Hit about 30,000 subs then, maybe less. I'm not sure. Damn. I don't have that many printers, Mod Shop. I've literally only got 3 right now. I've thrown out 2 that were really fucked up. The Da Vinci was one of them. I threw it out completely. That one wasn't really fucked up. I just didn't feel like dealing with it anymore. I didn't want to rebuild it, so I took out the stepper motors, the glass bed, the board, the power supply. I basically stripped it apart, threw out the metal cage and the plastic. I destroyed the wood one, the RP9V2 from Bob CNC. It was a really cool printer, but I tried doing some mods to it and I wasn't happy with the end result, so I did the same thing. I took all the parts out for spares and threw out the wood frame. I sold the Anycubic console to my neighbor. He wanted a 3D printer, so I gave him a really, really good deal on it for Christmas. The Monoprice Mini, didn't feel like dealing with the issues on that anymore, so I let that go for super cheap too. I don't hold on to more than like 3 or 4 usually. I don't have use for that many printers. Like, one, this is my everything. This room that I live in, which is, 10 feet by 15 feet, so I can only fit so much shit in here, and I just don't have the use for that many printers either, so I can only keep really what I use, depending on what's going on. Sometimes I'll hold on to more, but there's also times too where, like I've sold one of them, or at least maybe 2 of them, because I'm like, I gotta pay rent, and I'm a student. I was a student, and didn't have the money, so I'm like, I gotta sell this printer really quickly. So yeah, I only hold on to, I've got my Fulgurtech 2020, which is my flagship that I've had for 2 years. It's got thousands of hours of printing. It is just the fucking beast. It's definitely getting a video on it again soon. We've got the ANA A8, which is all souped up with auto bed leveling, completely modified like hell. It works well when I need it to. I printed my whole arcade on that cheap $150 printer, and then the Tevo Tarantula. So once I get these 2 new printers in, then I'll probably get rid of one of my printers, which might be the ANET or the Tevo. I don't really know. I don't know. But what slicer are you using now? I'll show you guys. So I use Repetier Host, and the funny thing is, the only reason why I use Repetier Host is because back in the day I had the Da Vinci, the 1.0, which was my first machine, and once I flashed Repetier to it, I used Repetier Host with the Repetier firmware, and that's just what I learned, and so I've never strayed away from it. I've used Cura, and I know a lot of people like Cura more, but Cura almost seems too simplistic for me. It's got such a clean interface, and it's almost too clean for me, as weird as that sounds. So I use Repetier Host, and then inside Repetier Host I use Cura Engine. I have Slicer. I don't use Slicer. I use Cura Engine. I don't know why I use Cura Engine over Slicer. I think it had something to do with I was getting better print quality back in the day, and I think the print times were less with Cura for some reason. But that's what I've always used, and it just works really well. I would like to use Simplify 3D to a certain extent, just because I think there's some tools that could use in their software that could be beneficial for projects I work on. But at the same time, it's like a lot of what I do is budget 3D printing stuff for everyday Joes and hobbyists, not necessarily industry professionals. So I don't know, I don't know how many hobbyists really would use Simplify 3D. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a huge demographic of hobbyists that do use it, but isn't it pretty fucking expensive? Isn't it? I haven't checked in a long time. Let me check here. Simplify 3D. Buy now. It's 150 bucks. Is that permanently? I mean, 150 bucks is a hell of a lot cheaper than something like SolidWorks, I'll tell you that much, but still, there's a lot of really good shit out there for free. So I'm not bagging on Simplify 3D. I'm just saying that for most people that are going to spend $150 on a 3D printer, they're not going to want to spend another $150 on the software. That's all I'm getting at. mod shop. I've been watching your videos, cool stuff. Now I want to RGH 360. I have simplified 3D. It's worth 150 in my opinion. Okay, so you do have it. You are one of the people that it's like a hobbyist that does have it. I've seen some of the cool shit it can do. I mean, I know that Angus is a huge fan of it. Who else have I seen talk about it? I think the Hot End does. I mean, if they wanted to sponsor me and send me a license or something like that, I wouldn't be opposed, like, in return for promoting it or something like that. But it's just, again, at the same time, like, I don't have enough people coming at me saying, hey, like, can you do some simplified 3D videos, or what's your opinion? I don't really get a lot of questions, which just makes me assume that a lot of my viewers don't necessarily use it or don't necessarily care, which I could be wrong, but that's just the kind of the vibe or the assumption that I've made from it. If you're experienced with soldering, I would definitely say go for it. But doesn't Cura run the slicer software? I think Cura does run the slicer software. I think it does. I think you can. Does it have to though? Cura slicer. Oops. Are you asking that because I said I use Cura engine? All I know is when I go into Repair Your Host and like watch. So if I go to Cura engine, right? I click configure. These are the settings I'm working with. So different settings for the speeds depending on what it's doing. You know, you got your infill support, skirt and brim, raft, yada yada, extrusion settings, which I don't really mess with too much. The retraction speed's usually okay. Custom G code, and you know, filament temperatures and whatnot, and fan speeds. And then if I go to slicer and I go to configuration, hopefully it even has it still installed. It does. So I'm just curious to see whether so this was an hour and 41 minute print job. I'm just curious to see what slicer would give me if I did like comparable settings. So I think I did layer height. I think I did 0.25 with 0.3 parameters. Is that just this number of parameters generated for each layer? So if we're doing 0.25 layer height, I think I'm set to 0.1. So I think I do 4, because I usually do the top and bottom 1 millimeter thick, which I know is really thick, but it's typically what I do. Infill 20%. Is that what I did? I think that's what I did. Combine infill, every solid infill, every zoom. Skirt and brim, support, doesn't matter. Speed. I think the speeds could be a little bit slower, maybe not, 80, no. Alright, let me save. I'm just curious to see what it shows in comparison to okay, let's slice it with slicer. Fuck, it was okay, so now we're 41 versus I use Cura because it's the only thing I ever see. That's the thing. A lot of people just, you get familiar with it, and if there's no like significant feature that you're missing out on, then what's the point in switching once you've gotten comfortable with it? It's like that with a lot of 3D modeling software too. I use 360 Fusion because 1, it's free, 2, it's really powerful, but people that learn Blender, they're not going to switch over probably, and people that use things like, well, if you have the money and you use like what's it called? Autodesk? No, not Autodesk. No. I don't know, I can't think of what it's called right now. The other 3D modeling software. Okay, let's see how long is this gonna take. 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's way longer. So it's got to be a speed setting or something like that, but it's just, I don't know. 2 hours and 42 minutes versus an hour and 41. That's what I remember. Like Slicer always seemed to take longer on the prints, which I didn't understand. So Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Slicer, and it's probably just a setting that I'm not seeing that's making it do that, but I'm happy with CureEngine. It's what I've used for 3 years now, and I don't see, you know, anything that's like, oh, I gotta have that. But again, I know there's really cool things too that Simplify has that are like the custom. I think I've seen like custom supports, which are really cool, and the ability to pause prints at certain times to swap out color. There's some really, like, you know, and cool features, no doubt. But hold on, let me girlfriend's probably like, what the hell, what are you doing? Thanks for subscribing, whoever subscribed. I don't know. I need to get my shit set up because every time someone subscribes it makes a loud that sound. I don't know if you guys could hear that, probably, maybe, but it doesn't pop up, so I gotta figure out what's going on here with my Streamlabs stuff. So I think I'm gonna let this print finish here, and then I'm probably gonna hop off because, like I said, I'm gonna go to bed by midnight. I'm probably gonna play like an hour of video games to wind down here. But as soon as this print's done, I'm gonna take them off and then probably start the second batch here. So that way, hopefully by at least the time I go to bed, I'll have the Z-axis chain cables done. I'm thinking tomorrow I'll make a video on the Nintendo Switch, a little add-on thing I made. I'll probably take Sunday off to work on, well, I'm probably gonna go on a hike, but I'll probably take Sunday off from videos and hopefully just get as much of the Tevo done as possible, so that way like Monday I can make a video on all the upgrades, followed by a review of the things that I like and don't like on this machine like the following day or something like that. So thanks, Motshop. You literally always stop by when I'm streaming, even if it's out of the blue. It doesn't matter whether it's late at night, whether I'm playing a video game or something like that. And thank you so much, dude, for always being really supportive of the stream and just being a cool ass down to earth dude, man. It's always fun when you stop by too, because you like have both knowledge on the things I liked before, which is all the game modding stuff, and just creating cool shit in general in terms of like 3D printing and whatnot. So it's always fun to shoot the shit on stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out my next project. I kind of want to do another Raspberry Pi project, and I just don't know whether I'm gonna make like a portable, like I was thinking about doing one of two things. One is potentially like a Raspberry Pi type smart device, so Raspberry Pi with LCD screen, maybe some speakers, so similar setup to the arcade, but not at all for games. It would be more of like a Alexa type thing, for like a smart home essentially, even though I wouldn't use it for smart home. I mean, I would, but I'm saying like I wouldn't have it connected to light bulbs and shit. I would just use it for like weather and appointments and stuff like that, or potentially something like a little portable computer, so like maybe a little tiny little flip open screen with the tiny little keyboard, so that way you can do like, I don't know, programming on the go or something like that. I like a couple little ideas. I do want to do an N64 portable, dude. I do. I don't know if I've got the mental time investment in that. I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like I really want to do that project like correctly, you know, because N64 is my favorite console of all times, and I want to treat it correctly, you know. I have a really high standard, not standards, that's the word. Really high not competition either. What's the word? After seeing yours, the bar is set really high. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I'm like almost tempted to just make one based off one that already exists, but then I know me and I'm like, I want to make my own version, but making your own takes a hell of a lot longer than just doing something that's already pre-existing, you know. But yeah, I'll try to do more of these streams then, and sometimes I'll probably be working on something. Sometimes maybe I'll just hit stream and have a beer or a water and just say hello, just to kind of keep interacting with everybody. I miss the interaction. It was so fun back with the 360 scene, and I used to be way more like involved with my channel. There's a lot of regular people that would come and hang out, and it was so much fun just having conversations. You guys are funny. I remember when the Atari 2600 came out. It's old school, man. Every time I say that, I feel like I'm getting old at 25 or almost 26 here. I get somebody that says something like that. It makes me feel okay still. My girlfriend's mom just got like the Atari flashback for Christmas and was just geeking out on old Pac-Man and Pitfall and shit like that. She was really excited. I brought over the mini arcade that I made, and she put on what was it? I think it was probably Pitfall or something like that on the old Atari, because I put it's got like almost all the Atari 2600 library on there. Pong is fun. I don't care how old or young you are. Pong is a fun game. There's a simple concept of hitting the ball back and forth and not letting it get in your goal, but that's a fun game. I used to play Pac-Man a lot, actually, back in the day. There was a little Mexican restaurant that I used to go to with my grandma and grandpa, and they had a Pac-Man machine, and it was a lot of fun. But the Pac-Man machine that they had there was way newer than the Atari 2600 Pac-Man, because I played that the other day and I was like, holy shit, like, it's just blinking shapes. Like, it doesn't look very good. Well, the one there had the whole, like, the classic Pac-Man sound and the music, and every couple levels it would have the animation of like Pac-Man going across the screen and grabbing a fruit and coming back or something like that. Frogger is my favorite. I probably have that on there. I have to try that. I don't think I played the Atari Frogger. I played Frogger, some kind of Frogger game where it's just crossing freeways and jumping on logs over water and stuff like that. But I'm sure that's not the original Atari one either. It's probably a newer one. Let's check out our goods. It's pretty damn good looking, man. Like, again, I think that if I had a cooling fan, the parts could even be better, but they look really sharp. Like, I'm very impressed with what this machine is shooting out, considering that it's stock. I mean, I haven't done anything to affect the print quality at all. All the stuff I'm doing is purely aesthetic, to make sure cables don't get pinched. The only thing I will be doing, again, that's not just for looks or for my ease of use, is going to be adding the cooling fan. But other than that, it's all just stuff to make it a little sharper of a machine. So not a bad machine for 100 and, I think, what did I say, 180 bucks or something like that. But anyways, guys, I'm going to end the stream. It's an hour and 10 minutes, which I know is not a long stream, but I'm going to try to just start doing more of these quick little hour streams here and there to say hello and kind of talk about, like I said, projects I'm working on and answer questions and just kick it for a little while. So I'll try to make this more of a thing, maybe once a week or every other week. It's been months since I've even live streamed, so this was fun. This is cool. Thank you guys for coming hanging out. Mod Shop, Do It Yourself 3D Experience. Who else is Brad? Then there's earlier, I don't know if anyone's still here, but Cameron for stopping by, GH for stopping by, and anybody else that was here. And thank you again very much for the donation, Mod Shop, as always. Never expected or anything you have to do, but thanks. I appreciate it as always, man. So have a fantastic night, and Mod Shop, show me the end result of that 360. I really want to see it, or progress as you go further along. If you can make a video on it, that'd be even cooler. But alright, guys, on that note, I am out of here. You guys have a great night. Peace.